pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, repeat after me. I, Matthew West,
I, Matthew West,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of Township Manager in Plymouth Township,
of Township Manager in Plymouth Township,
Montgomery County, with fidelity.
Montgomery County, with fidelity.
To you, right?
Yes.
I need a tax for school.
All right, our next order of business will be promotion to sergeant of Jonathan Monahan. Chief, do you have some words to say first?
Yes, thank you. On December 9th, 2024, the police department held a written promotional examination for the position of police sergeant, a position left vacated by the retirement of Sergeant Joe DiDonato earlier that year. After a comprehensive written and oral examination held separately on January 6th and 7th of this year, the Civil Service Commission certified the list of sergeant candidates on January 16th, 2025. The top-ranked candidate on the certified list is Officer Jonathan Monahan. Officer John Monahan will complete 20 years of service with Plymouth Township next month. He served on both the Colonial Special Operations Team and the Montgomery County SWAT Team for a combined 5 years, functioned as the officer in charge of a patrol squad in the absence of the sergeant, and performed as a canine handler for the past 11 years, both with canine partner Fox and currently with canine partner George. Officer Monahan is a versatile and experienced police officer, and I submit to council that he be promoted to sergeant. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And is this something that council should vote to approve your request?
Yes, please.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the chief's request that we promote Officer Monahan to sergeant? So moved. Motion by Ms. Vissio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any questions or comments from council? We already heard from the chief. Anybody else? Hearing none, let's take a roll call vote on approving the chief's request to promote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vissio?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Frederick?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Congratulations.
just ask any of the Monahan family that would like to join us up here for the presentation of the badge. On behalf of Plymouth Township and the fine men and women of the Plymouth Township Police Department, I present to you Sergeant John Monahan. Congratulations.
Right, and next, this is the time of year in which we have resolutions to thank various citizens who have served their full terms and are now term limited on our various citizen service boards. First resolution will be Vincent Franciosa, which will be read by Mr. Nelson.
We have a resolution for Mr. Vincent Frangiosa by Plymouth Township Council. In grateful recognition of his generous and outstanding service and contributions rendered as a member of the planning agency, Vincent Frangiosa served Plymouth Township with commitment and dedication by volunteering his time to the planning agency during the period extending from January 2017 through December 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council hereby expresses its appreciation to Vincent Frangiosa. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the official minutes of Plymouth Township Council, and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Vincent Frangiosa, presented this 10th day of February 2025 by Karen R. Bramblett, Chair. I'd like to move to accept this, or to present this resolution to Vincent Frangiosa.
We have a motion by Mr. Nelson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Vicio. Any questions or comments from council or the audience? All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Congratulations. Is Mr. Franciosa here? There he is. All right, we have an award for you. All right, another planning agency resolution to be read by Mr. Nelson.
Yes, we have a resolution to be awarded to Mike McGuire by Plymouth Township Council in grateful recognition of his generous and outstanding service and contributions rendered as a member of the planning agency. Mike McGuire served Plymouth Township with commitment and dedication by volunteering his time to the planning agency during the period extending from January 2017 through December 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council hereby expresses its appreciation to Mike McGuire. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the official minutes of Plymouth Township, and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Mike McGuire, presented this 10th day of February 2025 by Karen R. Bramblett, Chair. I would like to move to present this resolution to Mr. Mike McGuire.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Nelson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any questions or comments from council or the audience? All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Is Mike here tonight? There you are. Hi. Our next recognition will be read by Ms. Leonard.
I have a resolution awarded to Dave Raimondo by Plymouth Township Council in grateful recognition of his generous and outstanding service and contributions rendered as a member of the Zoning Hearing Board. Dave Raimondo served Plymouth Township with commitment and dedication by volunteering his time to the Zoning Hearing Board during the period extending from January 2015 through December 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council hereby expresses its appreciation to Dave Raimondo. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the official minutes of Plymouth Township and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Dave Raimondo, presented this 10th day of February 2025, Plymouth Township Council, Karen R. Bramblett, Chair. And I move to adopt this resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any questions or comments from council or the audience? Hearing none, let's take a roll call vote. Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Congratulations, is Dave, there you are.
Appreciate that.
Next, I will read the next resolution for Brian Renison. Awarded to Brian Renison by Plymouth Township Council in grateful recognition of his generous and outstanding service and contributions rendered as a member of the Park, Recreation, and Shade Tree Advisory Board. Brian Renison served Plymouth Township with commitment and dedication by volunteering his time to the Park, Recreation, and Shade Tree Advisory Board during the period extending from January 2017 through December 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council hereby expresses its appreciation to Brian Renison. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the official minutes of Plymouth Township and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Brian Renison, presented this 10th day of February 2025, Plymouth Township Council, Karen R. Bramblett, Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Vizio. Any additional questions or comments? All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. All right, congratulations to Mr. Renison. See, we have many citizens who give their time over the years to serve our township. Our next resolution will be read by Ms. Vizio.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. I have a resolution awarded to Joe Mellon by Plymouth Township Council in grateful recognition of his generous and outstanding service and contributions rendered as a member of the Building Code Appeals Board. Joe Mellon served Plymouth Township with commitment and dedication by volunteering his time to the Building Code Appeals Board during the period extending from February 2015 through December 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council hereby expresses its appreciation to Joe Mellon. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the official minutes of Plymouth Township and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Joe Mellon, presented this 10th day of February 2025, Plymouth Township Council, Karen R. Bramblett, Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Motion by Ms. Vizio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Any additional questions or comments from council or the audience? Hearing none, let's take a roll call vote. Ms. Vizio.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
Ms. Leonard. In favor. And the chair votes in favor. Congratulations, Joe. There you are. All right, and our final recognition tonight will be read by Mr. Whitney.
All right, I have a resolution awarded to Michael Cacciapali by Plymouth Township Council in grateful recognition of his generous and outstanding service and contributions rendered as a member of the Environmental Advisory Board. Michael Cacciapali served Plymouth Township with commitment and dedication by volunteering his time to the Environmental Advisory Board during the period extending from January 2017 through December 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council hereby expresses its appreciation to Michael Cacciapali. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the official minutes of Plymouth Township and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Michael Cacciapali. Presented this 10th day of February, AD 2025, Plymouth Township Council, Karen R. Bramblett, Chair. I would make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Nelson. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
Ms. Vizio.
In favor.
Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. All right, congratulations. And I don't think Mr. Cacciapelli could make it tonight. All right, have a few announcements to make. An executive session was held on February 3rd, 2025. Also, 3 members of council met with Zach Newman from Representative Greg Scott's office on January 29th, 2025. And if any of the people who came for their awards tonight need to leave, we certainly will understand that you don't have to stay, but you are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. Thank you. Okay, next, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the reorganization meeting that was held January 6, 2025, the workshop meeting that was held following that on January 6, 2025, and the minutes of the regular meeting held on January 13, 2025?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Vizio. Is there a second to approve the minutes?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any questions or comments from council or from the audience? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next, is there a motion to approve the departmental reports and bills?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Whitney, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Any questions or comments from anybody? Hearing none, I will take a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. All right, and next we're going to move on to our solicitor is going to read a number of various ordinances and resolutions. And I'll turn it over to you. You have water, I hope?
I do. Thank you, Chair. The first for consideration tonight is the ordinance creating the Communication Advisory Committee. The ordinance establishes the composition of the committee, which entails residents, township staff members, and a required and optional council member on that committee, establishes its terms, its organization, and its meeting requirements, as well as its reports to council, and other enabling legislation for the establishment of that committee.
Thank you, Mr. Heleniak. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance establishing the Communication Advisory Committee?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Nelson, second by Ms. Vizio. I'll let you have that one. Okay. Any questions or comments from council about the creation of this new committee? Sure, go ahead,
Yeah,
Ms.
just
Vizio,
one quick
absolutely.
comment. We formed a committee, a temporary committee, and that committee helped us put a survey forward to the township, and we had close to 700 residents comment on our communication practices, giving us some feedback on what we're doing today and what they'd like to see going forward. So first of all, we're very appreciative to the residents who took the time to respond to the survey, and we've taken the feedback from that survey to heart, and we're making a number of changes. In the upcoming newsletter, you'll see some of the changes that we're making and also see some of the feedback that we received on the survey. And I just want to say this is part of our ongoing effort to really enhance our communication, to make it easy for residents to find the information they want, where they want it, when they want it, and for us to be as transparent as possible with the things that we're doing. So we're really pleased to do this. We are pleased to invite 3 residents to be part of this board, and we are always looking for ongoing feedback about how we're doing in the communication space as a township.
Thank you, Ms. Vizio. Any other comments about the creation of this new committee? All right, how about the audience? Do you have any questions about it? All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor.
For the next,
Sorry. Go ahead, Mr.
you're
Heleniak.
the chair. I'll act at your,
Nope,
at your
just
direction.
Keep charging ahead.
Fair enough. The next 2 items are taken in concert with each other. The first is the ordinance amending the township's fire alarm code, particularly for establishing permits and inspections related to the fire alarm system requirements. And in the accompanying resolution, which is the next item after that on council's agenda, we would establish the fees for those permits and inspections.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the new fire and residential security alarm ordinance and in concert with the alarm ordinance resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Vizio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any questions or comments from council? I would just like to say that this ordinance came about at the suggestion and in close work with our Chief of Police, Chief Mircea, as well as our other emergency services people. And the purpose of this is to encourage residents to make use of the police being contacted when your alarm goes off and not penalize you. Our police are on duty anyway. They are circulating throughout the township, and they definitely would rather be called than not called, just because a resident were afraid of incurring a fine for that. The same thing goes with a fire alarm that goes off. We certainly don't want anybody just to not call the fire company or have the fire company alerted, even if it were a toaster or something like that. Fires are too dangerous. So I want to thank the chief and all the emergency services personnel who weighed in on this. Businesses will continue to receive penalties for failing to update, fix, and repair alarm systems that go off continuously. And obviously, even we don't want our police answering those when they are, in seriam and not corrected. And of course, our volunteer firefighters have to get out of bed when there's nothing going on. So any questions from the audience about adopting this new resolution to give residents a break?
Madam Chair, just as a point, I think we should take a vote on the ordinance itself and then a separate vote on the resolution for the fees.
Any comments or questions from the audience regarding this? All right. Oh, and the ordinance and resolution are separate so that we can, don't have to adopt an ordinance every time we need to change the amounts of any kind of penalty fine. So first, let's take, we had the motion and second. Is that okay on both of them?
Yes, for the ordinance, yeah.
Okay. So is there, we had the motion and the second. Let's take a roll call vote. Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor.
Or I can read the resolution for, in advance of the motion. This is a resolution of the Township of Plymouth adopting a fee schedule for the Code of Ordinances at Part 2, Chapter 14, Article 3, related to emergency police and fire alarms. Whereas the Township of Plymouth is a home rule municipality, the township organized and existing under the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the township's own home rule charter. Whereas pursuant to Section 301 of the Home Rule Charter, all powers of the township are vested in and exercised by a council, including the power to make and adopt ordinances and resolutions consistent with the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth and the Home Rule Charter. And whereas the Council of Plymouth Township desires to create a fee schedule for Article 3, Chapter 14 of the Township Code of Ordinances, whereas the Council of Plymouth Township has determined that it is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the township and its residents to create a fee schedule for Article 3, Chapter 14 of the Township Code of Ordinances as follows. 1, a false alarm fee for businesses. 4 or more false alarm fees, false alarms within 1 calendar year each, $300. 2, alarm permit fee. Residential alarm permit, $25. Business alarm permit, $100. Initial permit fee, and thereafter $100 annually. Annual permit fee waived if updated permit is received by the township by March 31st of the calendar year, ordained and enacted by the Council of Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, this 10th day of February 2025.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Nelson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any other additional questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Absolutely. Ms. Vizio has additional comment, but we already passed it. No.
You were quick, though. So I just wanted to be like crystal clear about what this means as a resident. So I have a home security system. The first call, if something happens, comes to me. The second call goes to the police department. That's how I've set it up. I know a lot of people do the same because if a family member accidentally opens a door or a window with the alarm system on, we don't want to bother the police. To be crystal clear, our chief has said it's okay. If the first call goes to the police department, they're not going to be annoyed, you're not bothering them, and there's no fine. Even if you accidentally do that repeatedly, if once a week you accidentally open a window and you forget you have your alarm system on. So the first call can go to the police, which saves them time. If there's actually an incident, they're actually getting to you quicker. So I just wanted to be really clear about like the application of this resolution and what it means as a resident. So first call, it's your choice, but the first call can go directly to the police department. Even if it's a mistake, it's not a problem.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Vicio. Yes, you have a comment. Please come to the front. I think the, Richard, I think the microphone should already be on, and if you just state your name and whether you live in Plymouth Township.
Richard Schickling from 111 Boulder Road, Plymouth Meeting. If you already have an alarm system that is a fire and burglar alarm combined, will you have to get some kind of permit in order to have this? Is there a yearly fee?
I'm not familiar, but it seems like the chief knows the answer. I don't have any security. Forget I said that. I have tons.
The residential alarms is a one-time fee initially, when you put it in.
Okay.
And it does not, you never have to re-up that. It's only businesses have to do that, and we waive that as well, as long as they fill out the
It's been
paperwork, so.
there for 30 years.
Well, then you're good
Okay.
for another 30
Okay.
plus.
Okay. Any other questions about this new ordinance? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to our solicitor again.
The next item is a service agreement between the Lincoln Center for Family Youth and the Plymouth Township Police Department. This agreement is to provide a mental health professional as a co-responder to the police department for the remainder of 2025, the term of February through December. It's an annual cost for those 11 months of $55,000 to assist the police with those mental health response.
All right, and we have to take action on adopting,
Yes.
accepting this agreement. All right, is there a motion to enter into this agreement between Plymouth Township and the Lincoln Center for Family and Youth?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Vicio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my voice tonight. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Chief, did you want to say anything about this agreement?
Certainly, thank you. This agreement will coordinate our efforts with our members to better service our growing unhoused population, mental health consumers, victims of abuse and addiction, as well as troubled youth and aging adults in need. The agreement allows for a social service liaison who will provide service 24 hours every week, both at our police headquarters and as a co-responder with our community policing officer once a scene is deemed safe and secure. So we're looking forward to this, and we think it's going to be a huge aid to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and I want to commend you for your efforts in getting us this kind of service. As we know, our officers face many challenges when they respond to incidents in the township, and some of them can be traced to domestic violence and mental illness. So certainly having this liaison to help our police officers is very welcome. Are there any comments or questions from council before we vote? And from the audience, do you have any questions about this new agreement? Hearing none, we will take a roll call vote on entering into the agreement. Ms. Vicio.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Our next announcement, we're all looking forward to this week, the snow announcement by Mr. Nelson.
We have some winter season reminders. Number one, it is unlawful to park or abandon a car on any street within 12 hours after a snowfall of 3 inches or more. Vehicles will be towed at the owner's expense. Next, use off-street parking when snow is predicted. When you park your car in the driveway, there's less snow to shovel. On-street parking is only permitted where no off-street parking is available, and then only on the even-numbered sides of the street in even years, and on the odd-numbered sides of the streets in odd years. Never approach moving snow removal equipment. Just because you can see the driver doesn't mean he can see you. We try to keep our crews fresh and rested, but extended weather emergencies can mean long hours for township employees. Please keep children and pets off the streets. Property owners are required to clear their sidewalks at least 30 inches wide within 36 hours after the snow stops. When shoveling your driveway, pile snow to the right. This will prevent the plow from covering your driveway opening again. Don't shovel or plow snow into the street. The plows will just move it back onto your driveway or sidewalk. If the plow has already passed, do not put snow from your driveway into the street. It will refreeze and create a hazard. And finally, if there's a fire hydrant by your home, consider adopting it. You know where it is. If it's obscured by snow, fire companies responding to emergencies may not find it. Clearing the snow from the hydrant helps protect you and your neighbors.
Right, thank you. And I'm sorry, Chief, we moved out of police and public safety before I asked if you had anything else.
I do not, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, under Public Works, we have another reading by our solicitor, Mr. Heleniak.
Yes, we have a resolution approving a waiver of the Plymouth Township sidewalk ordinance. Whereas Plymouth Township is a home rule community created by charter in accordance with Pennsylvania's home rule and optional plan law, whereas the property owners of 1903 Little Avenue, Conshohocken, PA 19428 have requested a waiver from the Plymouth Township Council regarding the township sidewalk ordinance, specifically as the ordinance pertains to the reconstruction of a sidewalk on the subject property. Whereas under Chapter 20 of the Plymouth Township Code, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places, Article 2, Sidewalks and Curbs, generally requires that property owners have the responsibility to construct, reconstruct, or repair a sidewalk or curb in front of or along his property. Whereas council has reviewed the property owner's request. Whereas specifically, the property owners have stated that they shall expand the existing curb apron from 14 feet to 28 feet and shall remove or replace the existing sidewalk and curb as submitted in their site plans. And whereas, based on the property owner's submitted plans and in conjunction with their proposed improvements related to the project, council is granting a waiver from Chapter 20 of the Plymouth Township Code, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places, Article 2, Sidewalks and Curbs. Be it resolved that the Plymouth Township Council does hereby waive the requirements under Chapter 20 of the Plymouth Township Code, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places, Article 2, Sidewalks and Curbs, as described in the owner's site plans, duly presented and adopted by the Plymouth Township Council at a public meeting held on the 10th day of February 2025.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution with regard to 1903 Little Avenue?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Vizio, second by Mr. Nelson. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the audience on this? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Engineering tonight.
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. If we have any action items tonight under our subdivision and land development reviews, but we do have a conditionally approved project not yet recorded, a resolution to be read by Mr. Heleniak.
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing an amendment to Resolution 2023-20, which is related to the Royal Farms project. Whereas Plymouth Township is a home rule municipality organized and existing under the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, with its offices at 700 Belvoir Road, Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania 19462. And whereas the Township, on the 8th day of May 2023, approved by Resolution 2023-20, the subdivision plan prepared by Robert E. Blue Consulting Engineers for Two Farms, Inc., dated August 4th, 2022, last revised March 28th, 2023, consisting of sheet numbers 1 through 39, proposing to construct a Royal Farms gas and convenience store for a property located at 906 Ridge Pike, subdivision application 22-1, in accordance with said plans, under and subject to the conditions as listed in Resolution 2023-20. And whereas the township now seeks to amend Resolution 2023-20 to include the Ridge Pike Interim Access Grading Plan dated November 26, 2024, prepared by Robert E. Blue Consulting Engineers for Two Farms, Inc., and reviewed by Carroll Engineering Corporation, subject to their comments. And whereas this resolution amends the Resolution 2023-20 to include the Ridge Pike Interim Access Grading Plan, subject to all other terms and conditions of Resolution 2023-20, now therefore be it resolved, the council hereby approves and ratifies this resolution to amend Resolution 2023-20, duly presented and adopted by Plymouth Township Council at a public meeting held on the 10th day of February 2025.
Is there a motion to adopt the amended resolution regarding the interim access grading plan on Ridge Pike?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Any questions or comments by council? From the audience? All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next, we will move on to our zoning hearing announcement. Ms. Leonard?
Notice of public hearing. The Zoning Hearing Board of Plymouth Township will hold a public hearing on Monday, February 17th, 2025, commencing at 7 p.m. in the Plymouth Township Building, 700 Belvoir Road, Plymouth Meeting, PA 19462. Following applications will be heard. Vandalay Industries, LLC, on an application for special exception from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance Number 342 as amended, what article is that? Article 14?
17.
17?
14 is the first one, 17 is the second
Okay.
one.
Article 14, Section 1400 and Section 1402A, and Article 17, Section 1700D.12. The variance is requested as follows: permit use of indoor sports training facility and variance from the required number of parking spaces. The special exceptions requested are as follows: to permit the proposed use as a use of the same general character as a physical fitness center. The property is located at 105 Lee Drive in Limited Industrial Zoning District. Any citizen of Plymouth Township or interested party may attend the public hearing and have an opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. And these articles are in Roman numerals, and the only Roman
know.
numeral we know this year is
I was like,
LIX
what?
59, right, for the Super Bowl, so it's a little difficult if it's not LIX, and next year it'll be LX, right? Okay. Next, under Parks and Recreation, Mr. Whitney.
Right. So our Parks and Recreation Program spotlights at GPCC for February 2025. Inflatable Float Day, Friday, February 14th. Resident and non-resident camp registration is ongoing. Plymouth Township Black Heritage Day is Saturday, February 22nd. GPCC 10% off annual passes will be from March 22nd through March 29th. Is that right? Jumping back to...
It is, but then it gets sort of amended.
Just odd little order, because Senior Bingo will be Monday, February 24th and March 31st. It just threw me off, because they put March before February. And I was like, is that a typo? But save the date, Plymouth Township Day, Saturday, May 31st. Plymouth Township Day sponsors needed now. Details available on our brochure, app, website, social media, or calling 610-277-4312. And then additionally, the Greater Plymouth Community Center is celebrating its 25th birthday on Saturday, March 29th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. It is free. Leisure pool for family swim, open gymnasium, aerobics classes, refreshments, prizes, entertainment, a rubber duck race, build-a-boat, and an aquatic inflatable obstacle course.
Thank you, Mr. Whitney. And although there is the 10% off annual passes the week of March 22nd, on March 29th, the actual anniversary date, 12% off annual passes. So if you show up for any of these events, you get a real discount on your annual pass. Citizen Board vacancy announcements, Ms. Leonard.
All residents wishing to serve on these citizens' boards are asked to submit their resume or a letter stating their interest to the Township Manager at 700 Belvoir Road, Plymouth Meeting, PA, or via email to mwest@plymouthtownship.org. The following citizen board positions are currently open. Property Maintenance Code Appeals Board, 3 positions open. Human Relations Commission, 1 position open.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Next, we have an advisory board appointment by Ms. Vizio.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. I would like to nominate Ellen Miramontes for a seat on our Environmental Advisory Board. Ellen is highly qualified. She is a true subject matter expert on all matters environmental. She is passionate, she is dedicated to that topic, and she is all around a very wonderful person. So I would be thrilled to see her sit in this seat, and always appreciate people willing to step up and serve.
Do we need seconds on that, or?
So moved.
And is there a second to
Second.
appoint? Thank you, Mr. Whitney. All right, any additional comments from council or from the audience? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Ms. Vizio,
In favor.
Mr. Whitney,
In favor.
Ms. Leonard,
In favor.
Mr. Nelson,
In favor.
and the chair votes in favor. Next, by Mr. Nelson, an update on Cunnytown.
So I'll try to keep it short tonight. We only have a few updates. Number one, on the crosswalk, I'd like to just update to say that Carroll Engineering is putting together a bid package, so that should go out soon, and we look forward to hearing back about bids. As for general updates, I'd like to say we looked into the adoption of New Elm Street, and it turns out that adoption would only give us responsibility of maintenance, oftentimes at a loss, and would not grant us any more authority over the street than we currently have. So unfortunately, I don't believe we will be pursuing that option. And finally, under the council tour items on our Cunnytown update, Craven Street will be signed with no parking signs, coming soon.
I'm sorry, what street?
Craven Street? Craven?
Even, that's that little curvy street that wraps around from to Fulton Street. It has a name, pardon?
Oh, okay. I didn't know it had a name.
I didn't either, but it does, and it's Craven.
Okay.
I was unaware of that either, but when we looked into it with our fire marshal, the fire marshal and highway sergeant met, and they do have the authority to designate no parking for fire lanes, and given the narrowness of that road and the residential homes beyond it, we are going to put no parking along that, now we know named Craven Street. Okay. Right, are there any questions or comments from any members of the community? Please feel free to come forward to this desk, give us your name, and just tell us whether or not you live in Plymouth. We don't need your actual street address.
I just have one really quickly, and then I'll let these guys speak. I'm Artis Lukens, as you guys know, again.
Lives in Plymouth.
And I live in Plymouth, yes. I thought that the bid was already written and out from Carroll. What is the delay if we already knew that everything was approved? Do we know?
I do not know. I can look into that, but what I've been told is that the bid is being put together, so it's not out yet. So that's the
Right.
update we have.
That's, yeah. Okay.
You, Otis.
My name's Steve Tiberino. Bill, we live in Plymouth Park.
Okay.
We got code violation for the sidewalk. Talked to you, I didn't talk to you, but you gave me a recording, and we talked. We'd like to know what's going on.
Okay, does anyone have an update on the, I believe this deals with clearing snow on the side?
walkway, yes.
Well,
You want to see this?
It's not so much,
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead,
did,
sir.
actually, yeah.
it's not so much the clearing the snow. If that's could be my job as Plymouth Township, I'll clear the snow.
Okay,
But we were told by the code officer that came to our house that the property up into the middle of that sidewalk is mine. The other half of that sidewalk is Steve's for everything and anything that has to do with that sidewalk. When I originally purchased the house, that sidewalk was not, I'm not insured for that, just the frontage of the house, because we were told that it's township property, 4 feet on either side of that sidewalk. Gentleman that came to our house, the code, said the opposite. He said, half of it and the 4 feet that I was told is my responsibility.
okay, so is this a sidewalk between two houses?
Yeah, there's 3 of them going down
Okay.
The pathway,
to
it's
the
not
school.
the sidewalk in front of the houses.
And is
It's
it
a
a paved
pathway.
pathway?
Pathway. school.
That you started at the old school on Butler and came through, all through the whole neighborhood and goes to where the property is for the new school, Ridge Park.
So our understanding is that this sidewalk exists through the neighborhood from between the two schools, exactly as
Yeah,
you said,
it's a
right?
walkway to convenience for the
A
children.
paved walkway.
Actually, I think it's an easement.
So that is what we're looking into. We're in the process of pulling the plans from when the neighborhood was constructed to determine whether, as you said, sir, whether the property line goes up to the middle of the sidewalk and there is a
Well, the
shared
property line doesn't
responsibility.
Go there.
When you look it
Or-
The
up,
property
or-
line, the poles, there's a pole, and that's where the property line, it's 3 feet from the sidewalk. My property line is 3 feet off the sidewalk.
I understand what you're representing. We're looking into the recorded plans and the information the township has from the approval of when the neighborhood was constructed and the sidewalk was put in to determine the exact responsibility for that walkway, whether it's the individual property owners or the townships. And we're gonna figure
you say
that out and be able to get
responsibility,
back to you.
responsibility to clear it, shovel it, or responsibility? That if it needs
In
repair-
general, we're gonna determine what the rights and responsibilities are related to that walkway. Published?
Can we just have your name, please, for a minute? I'm sorry, can you speak up louder? And you live in Plymouth, obviously, with these gentlemen. Okay.
The information is going to be relayed to the manager, and I think it's possibly that it's brought up at a future meeting as well, that it can be shared with the public. And certainly the property owners who received the citation notice will have clarity on that in the future.
We usually take care of it. I have a snowblower, we usually do it.
If you're going to speak, please come up, speak into the microphone, ma'am. Just give us your name. I just ask that because we have someone who creates the minutes for our
Okay.
meetings.
Mary Ellen Driscoll, 109 Rainier, I'm with him.
Okay.
Can we get clarification for the snowstorm that's coming in tomorrow for Wednesday? I mean, just for purposes of 4 inches of snow.
Well, who's been clearing the sidewalks in this development?
We have been,
Oh,
this is the
okay.
first time we did.
I don't remember anybody doing it.
Is this a number of years, right?
Everybody can't talk at once, just one at a time, please.
I moved in '77, and ever since I've had a snowblower, I would do it. But it's a pretty long walkway to do.
For clarification, there's several sections.
Microphone for purposes of the recording secretary?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm friends with the woman whose mother bought the house when they were built in '55. And she told me the path goes generally from the neighborhood up towards Ridge Park Elementary School. But she told me the original school is where Harmonville Fire Company is. And so it was built for kids to go in one direction, and since they built the new Ridge Park, they all go in the other direction. But there's several sections. There's one from Yellowstone down to Blue Ridge. There's one between Boulder and Black Hill and Ridge and Rainier, and so it's several different sections, and many of them have 4 houses, 2 on each street, on each side of the thing, and so there's a number of people who are affected by it. I've been there for about, well, I bought my cousin's house. She bought it in '96. But I've been there 10 years, and it usually gets done, but there's no clarity on it. And so it's interesting, because my wife and I had this discussion, and we saw this today, and so it came up again, and she asked me to come to just sort of, I think a lot of us would like to have some sort of clarity, who's responsible for it, for clearing snow and repairs, and you know, what are the limitations on our usage of it, or other people's usage and so forth.
Expectation by the township is like any sidewalk that's in, whether it's in the right-of-way along the street or in an easement that abuts your property, is the expectation of the property owner to clear the sidewalk because it's a public right-of-way. We're looking into the underlying issues that were relayed to these property owners related to the actual maintenance of that sidewalk and the rights, and we can have clarity on that in the future. We can't offer that clarity tonight because we're still researching that. But for the upcoming snowstorm, the expectation is that the property owners are still clearing the sidewalks that abut their property.
Well, my one other question would be, when I originally purchased the house, the insurance company wanted to charge extra as a corner property, more frontage. They did their investigation and said, no, that's township. I'm only paying insurance for the front of the house. Now, am I liable? My concern is, am I going to be liable if somebody should trip and hurt
I
themselves?
can't answer questions
No, but I
about
mean, that's
liability.
what I'm.
We're in this limited
Right.
aspect, we're talking about the responsibility for clearing the snow. Everything else related to the ownership of that sidewalk, we're going to have to get back to you on because we're still looking into it and gathering the information.
The only thing I would say, though, is that from your earlier comment, there's 2 houses on each side. Are we expected to do half of our sidewalk, or?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
most of it gets worked out, but it's just a concern. And the other is maintenance. If the concrete becomes sufficiently problematic, who's responsible for that? Because some of them are pretty long. I think one of these gentlemen is probably on the one that goes up to Ridge Park.
No, we're in Rainier.
Okay.
One
There's
part is
one long
starting to
piece.
crack, yeah.
There's one long piece that goes up to the street.
You understand the ask. We're just trying to gather the
No, I
information so we can
understand.
give you a clear answer.
I'm just trying to give you clarity as to what
Thank
the
you.
issues are.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
there's also a walkway and a bridge at the end of it. You know where I'm talking about.
going into Ridge
To
Park.
go up to Ridge Park.
We're going to look at the full subdivision
Oh, yeah.
plan, so the entirety of Plymouth Park and where this sidewalk
I don't
runs.
think that's on anybody's property, to be honest with you. That's at the end before you get to the field for the school.
I believe it goes to Plymouth, the Plymouth Meeting, right?
What's that?
It goes through the Plymouth Meeting House.
Yeah.
I'm not
It
sure.
goes from Blue
I
Ridge
think
to
it
the Plymouth
does,
Meeting
yeah.
property in the back of
Oh.
the woods there.
Yeah, there's one blue, yeah, I think it does.
No.
Thank you for bringing
Sure.
those details to council's attention.
Thank
Could
you.
add, if I could add also, could I get your contact information, the 3 parties, I think there's 3 groups of you here. Sure. For me, and just best way to get an overview, just so I can keep your contact information. Great.
Matt? Along those lines, I was wondering, I mean, our residents have alluded to, like a number of homes that are impacted by the decision, and I'm wondering if we could proactively, like, once we have those answers, first of all, thank you for collecting contact information so we could be sure to get back. I'm wondering if we can just get back to everybody that's impacted on that stretch. Is that reasonable?
There's 8 and on the Rainier, at the end of our street going towards Queens, there's the path there. The other side going toward, which is the firehouse now, there's a path there also. So I know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a lot of houses involved.
We're aware, we're looking at it. And to be continued, just for your question for this week, if you could,
Oh, we'll,
Shovel
yeah, we
snow.
can shovel. I didn't
That would be
clear
great.
the grass
We
and
just
clear
told
stuff.
that that was township land and that wasn't ours, and for the township to say, now it's yours, they just give it to you? And they don't tell you, and for
Well, he
your
told us it
purposes?
was a few years ago he gave it to us.
Yeah, it's
We're looking for some clarity we can share with you.
Okay. I
And,
appreciate
and we can mail out once, I mean, we can contact you individually, but also make sure that some kind of mail notice or something, once we have clarity and our solicitors have looked into it, we can let everybody know what their rights and responsibilities are with their properties in question.
our address down, I just put our name. Thank you very much for your attention to this. We know you guys, and Mr. Torres, who came out to talk to us, was very, very nice.
Oh, I'm
So,
glad to hear that, thank you.
Yeah, please.
We have great employees, we do.
Yeah, can we make sure he gets some hat tips for this?
Okay,
What?
I'll let his boss know.
No, he was very, very nice, though. He was very apologetic.
And really,
Yeah,
we will get an answer, I promise.
It's 4.
I want to thank all of you for taking the time to come out, explain it to us, and let us know exactly what we should be looking at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Patty Smith from Plymouth Township, and I'm inquiring tonight about the speed slots, so the speed bumps. It has snowed, so I'm wondering if anyone has reached out to Norristown to determine the efficacy of the speed slots from DeKalb.
Yeah, we did reach out to, was it Norristown? Yeah, we did reach out, and the update last month was that we'd spoken to them, and we're going to continue speaking to them throughout this winter season to make sure, get a fuller picture on whether or not those have been working for them.
So I thought that the task or the milestone was to wait for it to snow and then see what the efficacy of the speed slots was in the snow. So it has snowed, so I'm wondering, what comes next?
I think that we're waiting to see what their public works department thinks about clearing of the snow over time. We haven't really had any significant snow as of yet. And from what I understand, the only update they had, other than they seem to be able to clear the snow that we have gotten, was that they think the awareness of that it's increasing awareness for drivers, and it may be actually slowing them down just because they're there. But, go ahead, no, go ahead.
You were finished, I didn't want to cut you off, please.
But yeah, it's something we're looking at about how it is over time. I mean, this week, it's gonna snow again.
Is there like a decision date that you guys are going to put a stamp on and say we're deciding,
There's a process. That is one data point in a bigger discussion. So what we have shared in previous meetings is that rather than dealing with this as a single neighborhood issue, there are many neighborhoods around Plymouth who have asked for speed control measures, speed bumps, speed humps, speed slots. As a township, we don't want to deal with these sort of like individually and independently. So we are crafting a set of criteria. When a neighborhood has raised issues around speed in their neighborhood, we're going to have a set of criteria that is consistent that we look at. So if it's an issue, there'll be a set of criteria that we will apply to that situation. It will include some of the data that we're getting back from Norristown at this point. So how speed slots hold up, that's one thing we need to know. That we also need to know, will neighbors in the area, for example, will neighbors in the area be accepting of this solution? Some will, some won't, and there has to be a certain percentage of people that are willing to tolerate speed bumps, speed humps, or speed slots. We'll also be looking at some of the traffic issues, and the chief and his department will help us look at that. So this is we're going to take a more holistic approach to this rather than just saying, we're looking at it on one street and we're going to make a decision about speed slots. So, and we also committed to hold a town hall in either March or April. The date is to be determined, where we will gather anyone from any neighborhood who wants to be part of this conversation, and we will continue to inform the group as to what we're learning, but also gather input. So the answer to your question, like, do we have a specific date where we will say yes or no to speed slots on that street? We don't have that date at this point. It is part of an ongoing process and a more holistic discussion about speed control measures across the township.
Okay, I think, I mean, the lack of timeline, again, it's been a year and a half. We've been talking about this for a year and a half. So, and I feel like we've taken a couple steps, but I still don't know, like, what the milestones and the timelines are gonna be, and I know that this is a holistic thing, but I'm definitely curious, like, when you guys are gonna be, putting, like, dates down and saying, okay, like, we are gonna have this meeting on this date, and then after this, we're gonna review, maybe for 2 weeks after, like, which communities said that they wanted this, and then after that, we're gonna do this, and I feel like that's still lacking here, and it's still nebulous and up in the air. That's just my comment on that. So I hope after that meeting, the next one that you have, that you can produce some timelines so that everyone can be accountable and drive this forward. My other comment is related to snow clearing. So I know that Tees Boulevard is not technically a township road, but I do think this is next to, like, near the IKEA. It's not technically a township road, so it's not cleared, but I do think that there is a lot of vested public interest if you examine the traffic patterns there, and it was not cleared during the last snowstorms. It was extremely icy. It was just a sheet of ice, and I know that Public Works can't technically do anything, but I'm hoping that you guys can take that back and either connect with the property owner to remind them of their duties to be clearing the street, or at least have Public Works do this as like a favor to the community, because the street was really, really icy. So that's Tees Boulevard near the golf course or the driving range.
Okay, would anybody else like to make comment tonight? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming out.